An old baboon sat alone on a gentle rise of green grass. His body was gaunt, his fur worn, a clear sign of a life fought to its absolute limits. The troop had moved on, leaving him behind, too weak to continue. His eyes held no fear, only the quiet acceptance of a warrior facing the end. Then, two powerful forms appeared. A magnificent male lion and a sleek lioness moved with deliberate confidence, savoring their inevitable dominance. The male lion halted exactly 5 meters away. He sensed the anomaly. No trembling, no flight. The old baboon solemnly bowed its head. But in that frozen moment of finality, something unexpected broke the horizon. Don't look away, because the true meaning of connection is about to be revealed. A kilometer away, traversing the scorched, golden expanse in his rugged patrol jeep, was Ranger Kofi. Kofi was a man whose spirit was deeply rooted in the rhythmic pulse of the African earth. For over 15 years, his guiding principle had been simple, yet ironclad. Respect the circle of life. Do not interfere. This fundamental law was the bedrock of the entire reserve, a sacred contract that ensured the delicate ecosystem remained balanced and true, dictating every moment of predator and prey. But as Kofi raised his binoculars, the image that filled his vision was not a standard predation event. He saw the proud male lion hovering over the completely still baboon, and he understood instantly. This was not the vibrant, necessary chaos of a chase. This was a tragic combination of old age, profound malnutrition, and the relentless midday heat that had stripped the old baboon of every last fiber of its will to live. Kofi recognized the distinction. The baboon wasn't resisting death. It was simply finished. This moment forced Kofi into a profound, terrifying internal conflict. As a park ranger, his logical, factual mind argued fiercely. Intervention is a direct violation of the natural process. The baboon's fate was sealed by age and weakness, a simple, brutal equation of the wild that should not be meddled with. But the human spirit within him, the part that honored the narrative of that long, hard-fought life, cried out in protest. Was this truly the natural end for a creature of such dignity, to be claimed by sheer, agonizing helplessness? Kofi was experiencing the burden of choice. He gripped the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. His ultimate responsibility was to the balance of the system, but his heart was overwhelmingly responding to the dignity of the individual. He knew the risk. Disrupting a large predator during a kill was dangerously unpredictable, potentially inviting aggression. But the sight of the baboon's lowered head, the absolute finality in its posture, was a powerful plea for compassion that transcended the written rules. Kofi had always believed in the balance of nature, but he now questioned where the line truly lay between the harsh necessity of death and the cruelty of absolute, hopeless surrender. He faced the open loop. Will Kofi break the reserve's most sacred rule to save an animal that has already given up? What is the cost of intervention, and what is the cost of inaction? This wasn't a standard hunt. This was an execution of the exhausted. And Kofi realized that sometimes breaking a law is the only way to uphold a higher one, the law of humanity. He tightened his grip on the gear shift, knowing he was about to do the unthinkable. Kofi slammed the gear into drive, and the Jeep roared to life, shattering the sacred, ancient silence of the savanna. His plan was rooted entirely in strategy, not brute force. He understood the predator's mind deeply. Male lions and lionesses are driven fiercely by efficiency and energy conservation. An exhausted baboon was a guaranteed, low-effort meal. Kofi's primary task was to change that energy equation instantly and dramatically. He accelerated directly toward the standoff, keeping his speed fast enough to convey an unpredictable threat, but controlled enough to prevent a reckless crash. He flipped on the Jeep's high beams, creating a blinding, unnatural glare that, even under the fierce sun, created a sharp, disorienting pattern interrupt. Then, he leaned on the car horn. Not a quick blast, but a long, continuous, alien shriek that tore through the environment. It was a cacophony that fundamentally did not belong to the world of grass and bone. The effect was immediate. The male lion, moments from the final act, froze. His great head lifted, his ears swiveling to locate the source of this bizarre disturbance. The lioness, ever the cautious hunter, immediately backed away, her posture shifting from predatory focus to tentative alertness. They were not afraid of the Jeep itself, but they were deeply irritated by the profound inconvenience. Kofi held the horn, maintaining the sensory assault. This was a pure contest of wills, a battle to convince the predator that the effort required to secure this weak meal now far outweighed the reward. The male lion ran a quick, instinctive calculation. The baboon was frail, but the human was large, loud, and unpredictable. From an energetic standpoint, the prey was no longer worth the hassle. The cost-benefit analysis tilted sharply against the hunt. We, as observers, understand that a male lion will prioritize energy conservation, and this noise was a major expense. With a shake of his dark mane, a clear sign of annoyance, the male lion made his decision. He simply turned his back. The lioness followed, and both silently retreated into the distant shade. The standoff was over, but the most difficult part, the connection between the two survivors, was just beginning. The question was, would the old baboon accept this unexpected lifeline? Kofi killed the engine. The resulting silence was immense, a heavy blanket after the screaming horn. He stepped out slowly, deliberately, his movements conveying profound respect rather than dominance. The air was thick with heat, dust, and the residue of adrenaline. He approached the old baboon cautiously. The baboon remained exactly where he was, still, not running from the retreating predators, and now, not running from the approaching human. It looked up at Kofi with tired, confused eyes. There was no fear, only a kind of exhausted resignation, a final lack of will. Kofi knelt a few feet away, avoiding direct eye contact, and keeping his voice low and soft, a stark contrast to the violence of the horn. He spoke to the animal with genuine empathy. "It's all right, old one. You're safe now, just for a while." He reached for his backpack and pulled out his personal water bottle. This was the most delicate moment of the entire encounter. Trust had to be earned instantly, without question. Kofi unscrewed the cap and slowly poured a small pool of cool water into the palm of his hand, offering it not as a demand, but as a simple, uncontaminated gift. He knew the baboon was in a state of severe dehydration and physiological shock, a state where the brain struggles to prioritize survival, even when relief is offered. The baboon's stillness was not just acceptance of death, but the crushing effect of exhaustion that requires external aid to break through. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the frail baboon moved. It stretched out a shaking hand, not to grab, but to tentatively lick the cool liquid from Kofi's palm. One lick, then another. This simple, shared moment, a human giving the most essential element of life to a wild creature that had given up on it, was intensely powerful. Kofi let the baboon drink slowly, drop by drop, before performing a quick, non-invasive check for injury. There were no serious wounds, just profound exhaustion and dehydration. With gentle, slow movements and soft assurances, Kofi eventually helped the weak baboon onto a soft blanket in the back seat, shielding it from the sun. The Jeep left the barren mound, carrying a life that had just escaped the jaws of death through an act of shared conscience. Kofi finally allowed himself a sigh of relief. He had broken a rule, yes, but he had affirmed a truth. But what exactly was the profound message hidden within this single act of kindness on the vast savanna? The answer applies to every one of us. Kofi's intervention was not an act of defiance against the natural order. It was a profound tribute to a life fully lived. At the reserve's recovery center, the old baboon was given the necessary intravenous fluids and gentle care. It was able to finally close its eyes and experience the first deep, peaceful rest in what must have been months. Its life may not extend for many years, but its final chapter will be marked by safety, respect, and quiet dignity. not by hopelessness and pain on a scorched mound. This is the soft, emotional resolution. The story of the baboon and Ranger Kofi is more than just a dramatic moment in the wild. It's a powerful metaphor for our own lives. We all face our male lion moments, periods of overwhelming exhaustion, relentless pressure, and despair where the inner voice tells us to simply give up. We feel alone and abandoned, just like the old baboon, ready to surrender to the overwhelming circumstances. But this story reminds us that hope often arrives from the most unexpected place, from the presence of a Kofi. It teaches us that compassion is a fundamental law of humanity, one that can, and sometimes must, override the harshness of the world. We have the power to be that unexpected intervention for someone else, the distraction that breaks the tension, the gentle hand that offers a drop of vital energy, or the quiet presence that grants them a moment of peace. Kofi's act didn't save the baboon from eventual death, but it saved him from a cruel, despairing end, granting him the gift of peace, the gift of one more day. Never underestimate the power of your own kindness to change the equation for another. Whether you're fighting for yourself or fighting for someone else, remember that sometimes a moment of connection is all it takes to shift a tragic destiny. If this story moved your heart and reminded you of the power of gentle intervention, please take a moment to hit the like button and share this message. And if you want to see more powerful stories where the most fundamental instincts of the wild are challenged by deep, unexpected connections, then subscribe and join our journey. Click here to watch the powerful evidence that sometimes compassion rules over instinct.